Good morning, everyone. Hope your day is off to a good start, and thank you for tuning in with us this morning. You know, there are a lot of people that are excited about school being out for the summer, and certainly want to congratulate all of those recent graduates, and they're off to a great start and many exciting things in their lives. Also, want to say congratulations to our Hilton Head Island Bluffton leadership class who will be holding their graduation ceremony tonight. It's been a great class with a fantastic project that they did for the region. And if you haven't heard about that, go to our website and you can find out all about what they did. Also, I want to give a special shout out to Judy Austin and Garrett Simmons. They're both with our junior leadership class, which graduated a few weeks ago. And each of them had the opportunity last night to share with Hilton Head Island Town Council their experiences in the junior leadership program. And both are stellar and did a terrific job speaking to council last night. You know, although that schools are out for the summer, planning for the future, it continues. And when you look at it, the last U.S. Census showed that Bluffton has grown over 150% from 2010 through 2021. With that comes the need for additional schools, and there's a proposed new school campus planned for Bluffton. And here to tell us all about that, as well as how the school year went, is our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Frank Rodriguez. Dr. Rodriguez, welcome, and thank you for joining us this morning. Dr. Rodriguez, are you with us? All right, with that, we'll rotate our speakers the way it was supposed to go today, and we'll rotate next, and then we'll come back to Dr. Rodriguez. How about that for pivoting? Well, let's look at it this way. Our most recent membership survey, as well as our annual resident survey, continue to show that workforce housing remains the top concern in our community. The workforce challenge, whether it's hiring, housing, or transportation, is something being faced by communities across the country. It must be approached with a regional perspective, which is why 8 different areas have come together to form the Regional Tourism Housing Trust Fund. Regional Housing Trust Fund. And here to give us an overview of that is the leader of the group is Brad Mole. Brad's the program director for the regional group, and he's leading the charge and finding creative ways to tackle the issues in our region. Brad, we're looking forward to hearing from you today all about the regional housing program, and welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, Bill. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes, good morning. Just a little bit louder, but we do hear you.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for you all giving me just this time to be able to update you all on the work that you mentioned that we are doing here in the Beaufort Jasper area concerning the newly formed housing trust. And we just to kind of give you some quick highlights of what we're doing on the ground. First of all, we have decided on the name, or the board have decided on the name, which is the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust. So you'll see that name kind of more around and heard more within our affordable housing circles here in the counties. So this year is about the formation of the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust, along with pipeline development, finalizing structures of the committees. We now have 5 committees that are working on carrying out the activities of the Housing Trust. Those committees are consisted of board members, Community Works, which Community Works is the administrator of the Housing Trust Fund. So those committees are consisted of the board members, Community Works staff, and a few community partners. Some of our other focus for this year is also launching our letter of interest that recently closed on May the 15th. Our goal was to again kind of connect with those developers, affordable housing developers that we can possibly partner with. And then also we wanted to focus on this first year in internal staff and board development. So since our launch back in January the 11th, of course, we had a chance to see many of your faces there at the launch event that we had back in January. After that, we began to meet with numerous community partners, and we started creating again that pipeline of potential projects to fund. We do now have a new logo, so as well as hearing our name within some circles, hopefully you'll see our new logo as well. The board agreed on a logo which consisted of the woven basket, which represents the South's sweetgrass basket weaving culture. The Housing Trust Fund Board had a planning date on last month on May the 12th. And so that was something that was needed, again, for the board to be able to focus a full day on future activities of the fund. From that planning day, we created a 6-month action plan. Again, we have those five finalized committees that came from out of that planning session. And on May the 15th, we closed our initial request for letters of interest that I mentioned earlier from developers. There were 7 developers that responded with a total request of about 7.5 million. So that's about $1 million per project. Out of that planning day, we also planned another more intensive fall retreat. So we're kind of getting underway as far as trying to schedule that and putting the piece of the puzzle together for a fall planning retreat. And of course, many of you have heard, and it's glad that it's exciting that we're doing some work on the affordable housing front locally, but it's also even more exciting to know that we have many of our elected officials on the state level that are helping to push the affordable housing needle forward. And from out of that, we have Bill S-284, which many of you have heard about, that was introduced at the state level, adding workforce housing as an eligible use of accommodations or tax supporting workforce housing. Of course, that passed, the governor signed it last month. And so we're circling back around, working with each of the 7 to 8 municipalities that have signed on with the Housing Trust Fund. And we're working with those town managers and with their staff to see exactly how we can implement the passing of this bill. Also, lastly, but not least, again, on the state level front, there's been a $3 million one-time request, budget request for the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust. So again, we're excited about that as well. And after speaking with Senator Davis' office, we contact them again. They asked that we contact them again in September to see where that request is at that time. But again, we have a lot of activities going on. I actually just jumped off of another Zoom call and was excited about joining you all, but are going to actually go back on that Zoom call because we do have our project evaluation committee, which is one of our committees. They're actually discussing those 7 projects that I mentioned earlier. So you should see a lot more from us and hear a lot about us in the near future. If you have any questions, always please feel free to reach me by email at bmole@cwcarolina.org or give me a call. Thanks, Bill, for this time.
Brad, I know you need to jump on another call. Do you have time right now for a couple questions that we've had sent in from our listeners, or do you need to move on?
No, I definitely have time. Yes, sir.
All right, great. Thank you. The first question is coming from Marvin, and Marvin is asking how he, as a resident in the community, can get involved, or is his involvement needed?
Good. So again, I would say that the best way to get involved at this point is to, well, first of all, we can definitely, if you go to the Community Works website, the home office is here in Greenville, but we have a page that's dedicated to the Housing Trust Fund. That's a good way to find out the activities that we have going on now and in the future. And as a resident, I believe if you can kind of just help spread the word on some of those things that we're doing, that would definitely help.
Thank you. The next question is coming from Linda, and Linda's asking, what are the 5 committees?
Good. So those 5 committees are our finance committee. They're focusing again on handling again with the Community Works lending team that's partnering with them. That committee is partnering with them again to handle the possible funds from the Bill S-284, the possible budget request that we mentioned, $3 million budget request that we mentioned earlier. And again, to work on as money go out and come in as we fund developers. So yeah, so that we have that finance committee, we have the project evaluation committee, which again, we have some very experienced board members that's on that committee. A few have experience with LIHTC projects, as well as other affordable housing projects. And so that committee is the one that's meeting now to discuss some of the projects that have come forth over the last month. We have our communications committee. Again, as I mentioned, our web page that we have set aside for the Housing Trust Fund. That's part of our communication. But again, we want to make sure as much as possible that people understand what the Housing Trust Fund can and cannot do, and how we can assist. And so again, our communication committee focuses on that. Our governance committee, again, focuses on how our meetings are ran. Bylaws, we did create bylaws, of course, since January. And then the last one is our development committee to again kind of go not only locally, but also outside of our region to see exactly what funds are available to continue the work. So the Housing Trust Fund.
All right, thank you for that. Another question is coming from John, and John is asking, when do you expect the first project to come to fruition?
That's a good question. So a lot of that depends on again how ready the applicants are. The applications that we've gotten in so far, about out of those 7, about 3 or 4 of those are LIHTC projects. Again, that depends a lot on tax credits and when they're available, and then just that process. But I do, from some of the early submittals concerning that question, because we asked the same thing as far as how further along were some of these projects, and kind of an average was many of them said that they would begin within the next year and have something actually on the ground within the next 2 years.
All right, last question for you, and Helen is asking what you think the biggest challenge will be. I'm sure there's more than one big challenge that's out there, but a couple challenges you see as you move forward in this that you will overcome.
That's another great question, and I would say a challenge and also an opportunity. Again, we have quite a few organizations that's focused on affordable housing in our region. Again, I would say that challenge and opportunity is to kind of get everybody going in the same direction. And I believe that a few organizations and is working on trying to put together maybe some type of a convening to where we all can kind of come together, swap stories, swap ideas, and kind of again have possibly some action items to move forward as one unit. But again, I would say that bringing everybody together and kind of seeing where everyone is so that we're not duplicating services is probably one of the greatest opportunities and challenges.
Brad, our Vice President of Public Policy and Small Business, Tom Hens, he's enjoying working with you and looks forward to partnering and working side by side in the future with you. We appreciate what you're doing. We know you need to run, but thank you for being with us today, and we'll hopefully be back and see you again soon.
Thank you all.
All right. Thank you again. We're going to move on to our next speaker, and Dr. Frank Rodriguez is with us. There he is, Dr. Rodriguez. Good morning.
Morning. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Sorry about my technical issues earlier on, but it's wonderful to be here with you again, Bill, and with everyone, and share a little bit about our school district.
Great. We gave you a glowing introduction before you were on. So
I heard it. I was on but I was on the attendee side, not on the panelist side, so I had a hard time responding to you.
Okay. We thought it'd be interesting today with the growth that you've seen that we've all seen in Bluffton, to talk a little bit maybe about the proposed new school there, how the school year went, and anything else that's on your mind today, Dr. Rodriguez.
Very good. I appreciate it. I'll start with how the school year has gone and the students we serve, and I'll come back and end on the proposed referendum or potential referendum in November. So with that in mind, our Beaufort County School District serves 21,500 students across Beaufort County. And we serve approximately 54% students of poverty, and we have about 20% students that are multilingual learners. That means that they're recently arrived into the country within 1, 2, maybe 3 years into the country. And so they're still in that language acquisition portion of their development. And so that comes with unique challenges in terms of education as well. So we are excited about the students we serve. We're proud of the programs that we offer. Here in the Beaufort County School District, we have students that graduate from our school system and are headed off to Ivy League schools. They're headed off to schools across the state of South Carolina and other places across the country. And some stay right here locally at TCL or at USCB in pursuing their education. Some of them go right into career, and they focused on career and technical ed, which I will talk a little bit about that in a second. So we're excited that we have programs that support the needs of all of the 21,500 students that we serve, anywhere from language acquisition programs and special ed programming, all the way through to the highest advanced coursework that's possible for students earning college credits while they're in high school, as well as career and technical education programming for our students that are looking to head in that direction after high school. And so our career and technical ed programs, we have them existing in several middle schools across the county and in all of our high schools. But we also have a career and technical ed center at ACE, which serves many of our students. It is such a great experience for all of our kids to take part in, whether they want to take one course or they want to go all the way through and end up with an industry certification that they can carry out into the workforce when they leave us. And so those are in areas such as welding, auto mechanics, EMS training, fire department. We have boat and marine mechanic trainings. We have Project Lead the Way for students that are interested in pursuing an engineering type of coursework. We even have a $12 million grant that we went after that provides some of our students in a cluster site biomedical academic programming so that they're interested in the medical field. We partner with Beaufort Memorial Hospital for that, and we're looking at duplicating that right here in Hilton Head. With the hospital, we're trying to connect with them and move in that direction to see engage the interest there. And then in addition, there's a cybersecurity component that comes through our career and technical ed. Our students, as you know, here in Beaufort County is trying to plant the flag down as a cybersecurity hub in the state of South Carolina and on the East Coast of the United States. And as such, we want to prepare our students to be ready for that workforce. And so we have cybersecurity programs for our children to take advantage of, and they compete within military competitions on Cyber Patriot, for example. And this is something the military does and sponsors in order to make sure we're preparing the youth for the cybersecurity world. And here in Beaufort County, I'm proud to tell you that we have 35% of the state of South Carolina's Cyber Patriot teams that compete. So they can not only gain their experience in the cybersecurity world and train in it, but they get to put their skill sets to practice in the competition of around cybersecurity. And so we're really excited about the way our career and technical ed programming is developing. We're excited about our high-end level academic programs. And as everybody knows, the pandemic had a significant effect on students. And certainly we are in academic recovery for many students. And as you know, that is a multi-year process in the academic recovery. But I am very, very proud to tell you that here in Beaufort County, we navigated this pandemic and the academic component of it pretty well for kids. Sure, we saw an impact and we still see it, and we still have a multi-year growth process. But let me tell you, in literacy, where many states across the country and places around the world saw a significant impact in literacy, in Beaufort County, we navigated that well. We have not only exceeded our pre-pandemic scores in literacy, but we have achieved the highest scores in literacy that the school district has ever gotten in the state assessment since its inception, I believe in 2016. So in our literacy area, we have managed to fare that pretty well, even where other states and communities saw significant impact there. When it comes to mathematics, we also saw a significant impact in mathematics. The U.S. Secretary of Education said that the impact in math across the country is decades worth. While ours is not decades worth, we did see an impact, and that's probably where we saw the greatest impact is in the math area. And so we have focused there. We have focused this upcoming year's budget. I'm hiring a math coordinator position at the district level to coordinate and support the work of educators in the classroom around mathematics. And that is a significant piece. It's going to focus on the elementary grades because, as you know, math is one of those subject areas that builds upon itself. And so establishing the strongest foundation possible at the youngest grades is so important for us in order to help our students reach their highest potential. And so that's where we're targeting that work. You know, last year when we approached the budget, we really hit hard on the compensation component for our employees because it takes talent to deliver high quality education. And we want to make sure that we are attracting the highest level talent possible here to Beaufort County in terms of classroom teachers. And I have to tell you, you know, that is a challenge across the country. Everybody's competing for the same educators. There is a critical shortage of educators. And as an example, you know, 50% of teachers that enter the profession in any given year are gone by the 5th year. They've gone into other areas. And then you have retirements and all those sorts of things, people moving out of the district, out of the county. So those challenges all come together. And so one of the highest and most important things you can do is to impact the compensation piece. And so last year, when we started the school year last year, we started our beginning teacher pay was at $37,000. And put that in context, when I started teaching in 1993, my first year teacher salary was $30,000. And so over a 29-year period, which is a career, the difference there was $7,000. We took a closer look at ourselves here in Beaufort County, and we identified that we ranked 53rd in the state of South Carolina in terms of teacher compensation. And so we focused our budget on that last year. We looked internally and we looked at programs that maybe weren't showing a high return on investment, and we eliminated those types of programs, and we found half the dollars for that. And then we asked the community to support us on the second half when we go to county council, when we went to county council last year at this time, in order to increase salaries for teachers and fund the other half. And so it was a unanimous decision by county council. And so this is a wonderful thing because we moved our teacher compensation from $37,000 at the beginning of the year to $50,000. So when our teachers started this year, we started at $50,000. That moved us from 53rd in the state of South Carolina to #1. And that's where we want to stay because we want to make sure we are attracting the highest quality educators that we can. Looking at the academic recovery component, we want not only the high quality educators, but we want to make sure we've built in opportunity there for extended learning sites. And so we have these extended learning sites after school where our students that need additional support or want additional support can attend. And we partnered with ecumenical partners across the county and also with Boys and Girls Club, for example, right here on Hilton Head. And so we extend the learning day there for those students that want to take advantage of it. And it's been an excellent program showing great success, and it's one that we're obviously going to want to continue into the future. In terms of the school year itself, it's been a great school year. I think our students are making great progress, and here we are at the tail end of it, and graduations are underway. What a great time to celebrate. I mean, we've had 3 of them so far. They've been absolutely beautiful, and it's just wonderful to see really students achieving the crown jewel of public education, and that is walking across that stage and getting their graduation, their high school graduation diploma. And so we've got 3 more to go. We've got Bluffton High School tonight, We have Whale Branch Early College High School tomorrow night, and then on Friday we close out with Hilton Head High School. So we're very excited about that. And I want to pivot for just a second and talk a little bit about the potential upcoming referendum. And I say potential because this proposal will go to our school board on June 13th. And at that meeting, I'm hoping that our school board will vote to move it forward, which is going to be an important piece for us. As you know, in 2019, we passed the first referendum in over 11 years to support the maintenance project and capital projects that we need in the school district. Most successful school districts are passing bond referendums approximately every 4 years. So when you don't pass one in over 11 years, it has its impact on your capital and maintenance components of the school district. And so we got to work right away. Thank you so much to our community, because it passed with an overwhelming approximately 70% approval from the voters in the community here in Beaufort County. And that's so important. It sent a really great message. We got to work right away. One of the first things I did was to set up a citizen-led oversight committee that would oversee exactly how the school district is spending the dollars and managing the projects. And so that has gone very well. They meet monthly and report quarterly to the community through school board meetings. They have done a remarkable job. One of the things Beaufort County has so much of is tremendous talent and resources. And we've taken advantage of that by identifying individuals with tremendous expertise in accounting, tremendous expertise in the construction and building world and in plant operations. And we've tapped into that, and they make us better because they ask us very challenging questions every month. And they're responsible stewards as they oversee how the district is spending the dollars, the public dollars. And so far, we've had glowing reviews from them. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of our team and the work that they've done there. So we put together a community project review committee to look at additional needs that the school district has. You know, in the last one, there were over $644 million worth of needs that were identified. And in those $644 million worth of needs, the referendum really got to work on $344 million worth of those needs. And so now here we are coming back, looking at hitting on many of those same projects that were left off the last referendum. And there are some significant ones. And so the first one, for example, is the new high school here on Hilton Head High School, here on Hilton Head Island. It's going to be a beautiful facility, which is going to provide our students with a learning environment that's really essential for successful teaching and learning. And so we're excited about that project. Over in Ladies Island, there was a middle school that was on last time, but got removed at the last minute. And so that Ladies Island, it's a replacement school for the existing school there. And there are, some significant needs that need to be addressed with the replacement school there. You mentioned the growth in Bluffton. It has been tremendous growth. Our elementary schools are essentially really at capacity. If you look at Pritchardville is about 115% over at capacities, which means they're over already. So a new elementary school is really needed, and so we've got one projected there on the May River campus. There's plenty of room there, and so that's a location that we're looking at to place an elementary school there. Riverview over on Northern Beaufort County, there's a gym there that's needed, and then that is one of our district. It is a district charter school, but it is part of the school district. And then career and technical education expansion is really important to us. Bluffton High School is going to see some career and technical education expansion. May River as well. You can see over in Beaufort High School, for example, that needs some of that expansion. So those are three areas that are going to need some of that work. Technology Warehouse Imaging Center is part of this for the school district in order to manage the technology needs that the school district has. And then, of course, things like HVAC replacements, furniture replacement. We've got some schools that have furniture that's approximately 40 years old. And they've served us well, but their time has come. And it's really important to build furniture and spaces within the learning environment, because the learning environment has changed. It's no longer like when you and I went to school and it's straight rows, right? This is about collaboration work for students. And so we need to find furniture that is conducive to that kind of work. And then there's improvements that are needed on our parking lots and drives, safety and security measures as well for every school, early childhood expansion. I mentioned earlier, as we overcome the impact of the pandemic, building strong foundations is really essential. And so our ability to expand that early childhood education is critical. That's part of this proposed referendum. And so these are the things we are focusing on for this proposed referendum in November. I think it will take us further down the road in the work of modernizing and enhancing the educational experience for our students in Beaufort County, so that our educators, the top talent we're trying to bring in with that high compensation, is able to teach in an environment that's conducive to increasing outcomes for students. And so that concludes my report, but I'm happy, Bill, to take any questions that anyone might have. I know I covered a lot of ground here today.
Dr. Rodriguez, as always, a great update, and thank you for that, and congratulations on all the successes. We do have questions, but I certainly wanted to make sure to extend congratulations to you on all the great things going on. The first question is coming from Carol, and Carol's asking is, what do you attribute the increase in literacy scores to?
Yeah, that's a great question, because you see, for us, we're an anomaly really in the way of played out for a lot of school districts across the country. I really think that one of the things we did here early on is at least during my tenure, that's what I can speak for. But I think what we did early on here is try to focus on things like phonics-based instruction, so that you know, in literacy, the pendulum swings so much. You go one time where you have whole language instruction, and then you go all the way to the other side where you have totally phonics based. And I think what we tried to do is to navigate ourselves towards the middle and provide some of that phonics based instruction along the way. The other thing we've done is we've really fine-tuned and try to improve our fidelity around what we call professional learning communities. And these are where our educators at every grade level come together, or content area as you get higher up, come together and focus on their planning together, and they focus on what the data is telling them about where students are in their learning, and impacting that by strategically targeting the academic instruction in that area. And so I think it's about balancing, finding that balance there between the whole language educational instruction model, and then focusing in on some of the phonics-based instruction that's needed. And you know, we're going to hear more about that phonics-based piece in the world of education in the upcoming years. When you hear things about science of reading, there's a lot of phonics-based instruction there. But I think finding that sweet spot in the middle is an important part, and then educators collaborating on the instruction is critical.
Kristen is asking if there will be another public high school built in Bluffton.
Not in this referendum. We have, you know, some space within the existing 2 high schools that we have. And one of the things, we increase capacity in those high schools. For example, as we build a career and technical education building for May River and a career and technical education building for Bluffton, that increases capacity space within those schools. We may eventually, if the growth continues, need to look at that. But our immediate need right now is really at the elementary school. And so that's what we're seeking to address through this referendum. Down the road, it may be something that we need to tackle, but at the moment, we think we can manage some of this, because the last thing we want to do is overbuild. You need significant acreage when you're building high schools, and then you don't want to really overbuild and oversaturate either. So we want to try to be strategic and responsible about how we use our community's dollars.
All right, thank you for that. Janie is asking if the Hilton Head High School addition would be contingent upon a new referendum.
We're going to have to do something at Hilton Head High School, but you know, it is impossible for us to build a new high school, really without referendum dollars. So the difference would be either we are able to build a new high school with a referendum that passes, or we're having to find a way to modernize an existing building that is going to need a lot of work. So really the best case scenario to provide the best opportunity for students is going to be through that new high school.
Kelly is asking if you've looked to Georgia for ideas for math standards.
For math standards, yes, we actually are looking across the country at what different states are doing with respect to math. But at the end of the day, we have to come back to the state of South Carolina standards, because those are the ones that our students are held accountable for on state assessments. So we look more at the strategies and at the initiatives and programs that are happening across the country in order to impact mathematics. Standards may vary a little bit, but ultimately the standards are pretty close to the same. But what you do in terms of delivering instruction around those standards is really the key, I think, in meeting those. And I think that's probably what they're referring to in the question. And so we do look at the initiatives and strategies that are in play, not just in Georgia, but other parts across the country, trying to find the greatest component. I think the significant impact in mathematics has really been, even though we're showing growth, but there was an impact from where we were prior to the pandemic, right? So last year we showed growth, but we're still recovering from that impact, right? And so I think the significant issue comes to, typically in math classrooms today, there are thinking-based curriculums that require manipulatives and hands-on. During the pandemic, the reason I think across the country and across the world you saw such significant impact in mathematics is because of the separation and the isolation that didn't allow for the collaboration, the manipulatives that are used in classrooms in order to bring concepts to reality for kids, right? And helping them see those concepts play out. So those are the challenges, but we definitely do look at what innovation, what instructional strategies are in play in other parts across the country. We don't mind borrowing things that work.
All right. Rick is asking if the referendum is passed, if there will be an additional investment in school safety.
Yes, there is. There is additional investment in school safety. We placed a heavy investment on this 2019 referendum on school safety. But as you know, as we all know, we want to make sure that we're always enhancing and moving forward and increasing in every aspect of our school safety. So there will be, for sure, an investment in school safety.
Dr. Rodriguez, thank you so much for the terrific update today. And we appreciate the job that you and all your team and all the educators do for Beaufort County. And we'll look forward to another update from you soon.
Thank you, Bill. I'm blessed to work with a wonderful team, and I appreciate the opportunity to come here and share with you and with our community and partners here the work that's happening. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That was Dr. Frank Rodriguez, Superintendent of Beaufort County Schools. Always great talking with him. We talked a little bit about planning, and here at the Chamber, we know that planning is very, very important. And as the designated marketing organization for the town of Bluffton, as well as the town of Hilton Head Island, we know that we have to plan, and how that planning plays such a vital role in balancing the quality of life for our residents, and also the quality of life for our visitors as well, and then the economic vitality of our region. And that's why that we've partnered with MMGY Next Factor, and one of the leading organizations in the country specializing in working with tourism organizations. And they've been gathering input from local business leaders, our elected officials, residents, on what they think their vision is for the future of our region. And I'm proud to introduce to you today Powe we met. He's the president of MMGY Next Factor and the managing director of Destination Next. He brings a wealth of experience to the table, and Paul, we're delighted to have you with us to provide an update on what you're seeing nationally and some internationally regarding tourism and best practices.
Super. Well, thank you, Bill, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I've really enjoyed working with the chamber and other key stakeholders here in this beautiful area for the last 5 years. We've worked on several projects. I think I've been working on tourism industry specifically for the last 10 years, and what we've really seen is we had 8 years of record growth after 2008, 2009, and then obviously the wheels fell off in 2021. We were hit obviously with the pandemic, shut down borders, group travel. Big cities especially have had to deal with social, political unrest. We've had a lot of natural disasters, hurricanes, floods, fires. And then in Europe, the war in Ukraine has really destabilized much of that region. So obviously these were very difficult years. 2022, 23, we have seen strong signs of recovery. Asia has been a little bit behind the rest of the world, but we're definitely getting back close to where we were at 2019 levels. There's 4 trends that I wanted to touch on that I think are especially relevant for this area for the future here for tourism. The first one is pre-pandemic, but even more since, is the surge in interest in outdoor recreation experiences. I do a lot of work with TripAdvisor, and what's interesting is when you look at the searches on TripAdvisor, outdoor experiences are more than twice as large as any of their other attraction experience types. That number surged in 21, and it normalized a bit in 22, but it's still significantly higher than it was pre-COVID. That's a big opportunity, obviously, for this region. The renewed interest in golf, tennis, all of the beach activities. The second area is with respect to group travel and meetings. They have come back. They've come back very strong. There was a lot of skepticism, uncertainty around meetings and conventions. Lots of talk about hybrid meetings. We are not seeing that as a long-term trend. Hybrid meetings have largely disappeared already. We're going to see some meetings where there's sessions that are going to be videotaped and then sold later, but face-to-face meetings are back, and I think they're going to be as strong as ever. The third area is again, looking at different types of attractions and how they're trending. Arts, cultural, historic attractions, interest has picked up as well. So again, for a lot of the things that are being talked about here in part of the master plan, looking at those specific areas, those are big opportunities to capitalize on and to really focus on. And then the fourth one, which is really, I think, also very critical, is remote working. And remote working for destinations like Hilton Head Island, lots of people now having Mondays, Fridays working from home. They have a lot of flexibility. I think there's tremendous opportunity to increase the length of stay, people coming here and doing mixed sort of business play time here. So those are all significant opportunities that are going to, I think, create the potential to continue to grow your visitor economy. When we look at the US compared to other parts of the world, the US did not fall off as much with the pandemic as other parts of the world. That's the good news. The bad news is it hasn't recovered as strongly as other parts of the world. And I think that, you know, there's other issues that we're dealing with in the US, crime, public safety, homelessness, and some of these big issues are depressing some of the travel. So one of the things I keep telling destinations here is we shouldn't be complacent about the success we've had in the last year as our hotels and activity has recovered strongly. Most of that activity has been domestic leisure markets. A lot of that leisure traffic was visiting friends and relatives. So we're going to have to do a lot of work to continue to stimulate the leisure travelers international. There's a lot of issues that have to be addressed there, but continuing to do aggressive marketing promotion in our markets is going to be really critical. The last point that I was just asked to touch on is what are we seeing as sort of the keys to success for destinations moving forward? And in 2021, we do every 2 years a major study. It's called Destination Next, a future study. And we surveyed over 700 leaders of destination marketing organizations from 52 countries. This was the biggest study ever done in the world on destination marketing and promotion. And we asked them to prioritize 100 trends. And the number one trend, the most important trend that all of these leaders, tourism leaders, said was going to be key in the future was a recognition that alignment between industry, government, and community leaders was going to be key to determining the success of destinations moving forward. Number one most important trend, more important than any technology trend, social media, demographic shift. So that alignment between the town, the chamber, community organizations, the education community here is really going to be critical to have everyone working together on the same page in terms of marketing strategies, growth strategies, dealing with all of the implications of additional traffic moving forward. So I think there's been a lot of progress made in that space. I think there's been some great plans that have been done by the town, by the chamber, to address some of those issues. But I think that is really a critical component for this region moving forward. There are some significant infrastructure issues here in terms of mobility, access, transportation, that have to be addressed. Workforce is an issue here. It's an issue pretty much everywhere right now in the United States. So those would be some of the critical comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, Paul, thank you for that. And one item I think would be interesting for our listeners is for you to share a little bit about the destination management plan that you worked on behalf of Hilton Head Island. Yeah,
so that was a plan that we did that was ratified in 2021. We've done master plans. Master plans is really something that many communities are now putting together. We've done over 40 in the last 5 years, but we did work. It was a pretty extensive engagement process, focus groups, resident town hall meetings, interviews with key industry and community leaders to put together a major plan to sort of help move the hospitality industry forward over the next 10 years. There were a number of recommendations, again, emphasizing collaboration between critical stakeholders, talent attraction, initiatives around workforce, affordable housing, a need to continue to improve and diversify the experiences that are here, meetings and events. There's the opportunities there. And then finally, as I just mentioned, recommendations around mobility, transportation access. So it's that's a work in progress. This is, as we say to every destination, this is really a marathon. This is not a sprint. These are big issues that communities are trying to tackle. But I think there's been some progress made in some of those areas, but a lot of work's needed to address some of those bigger issues.
Thank you for that. Dean is asking if you feel the trend of increasing business travel, if that will continue the trending upward.
That's a good question. I do. We're seeing a resurgence in business travel. I do believe that we're going to see business travel affected more than sort of meetings and conventions, corporate travel, because of technology. Zoom, I think, will have a somewhat of a sort of an impact to slow the recovery down of business travel, but certainly I think we're seeing pretty strong recovery there as well.
Paul, you've been extremely helpful. We appreciate the work that you do on behalf of the destination, and we look forward to seeing the next strategic plan come out in the very, very near future.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Have a good day.
All right, thank you. Again, I want to thank all of you for joining us today. If you have ideas on suggested speakers that you would like to hear, please email us, because we want to provide the most up-to-date information that is helpful to you. Once again, thank you for being with us. We hope you have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you real soon.